What's up, everybody? Back today to talk about the newest PG-13 horror film, Lights Out. Of course, it's based on like an internet video, short film, whatever you want to call it, directed also by David Sandberg. He also went on to direct this film. I thought that was pretty cool. Produced by James Wan, not directed or anything like that. And you know, it kind of feels like a film that would fall in James Wan's world, definitely. Let's get into it a little bit. Basically, it's a family. They're semi-estranged, the mother's suffering from mental illness, and then they start getting haunted by this creature that can attack in the dark, but when the lights turn on, it has to disappear because it is light averse, definitely. That is the best way to put it. And you know, the film overall, it's not that bad actually. If you've seen a lot of horror films, you might not be that impressed, but if you just go to the movies to watch a scary film, it might do the job for you, you know? But it is PG-13, so it does have some fallbacks as far as that goes. Let's get into it a little bit, the good and the bad. I thought the story was alright. That's what I put, you know, alright story. I thought the way they intertwined the mental illness in with the creature, it created some red herrings. It made for a slightly more interesting story than your generic horror film. You know, it gave it a little bit of bite, I would say. Not much, definitely. Also, in critique of that, also at the same time, the film was produced by James Wan. And, you know, he recently did Conjuring 2, which I felt borrowed from The Babadook. And this film definitely, I think, the more I think about it, it did borrow a little bit from The Babadook as well. You know, tying kind of the mental illness into the creature a little bit. So yeah, I thought the story was decent. There's also a boyfriend in this movie who's actually pretty freaking funny. He's like the lamest character. At the beginning you're like, oh god, he's like this cheesy, you know, soap opera actor style guy and Game of Thrones reject type dude. And then he just kind of grows on you as the film goes, and he's kind of like the guy asking the questions we would be asking if we were in the movie. And I don't know, I just found his character to be weird but kind of interesting. And then the ghoul, I just refer to it as a ghoul, but, you know, it does have a backstory. Kind of interesting. I mean, I thought they were going to overuse the light flicking on and off thing, and they really didn't do it, so that kind of was okay. And then this thing is always creeping in the shadows, which gives an eerie kind of feeling when you're watching the movie. I mean, like I said, the film is not super scary at all, but it's just creepy because, you know, they'll be talking and you'll see this thing kind of in the shadows in the back, and the lady, of course, keeps her house all dark, which kind of adds to the effect. And so I did kind of like the creature. The origin was fairly vague. I mean, it wasn't the greatest, but I did kind of overall like the way they did the creature in the film. And then the end. I don't know, I think the end is kind of like the supposed to be shocking part or whatever, but I just kind of thought it was a good way to end it, like a solid ending. Because they talk about it during the film, and then at the end of the movie, it just happens, and you're like, well, that wasn't that bad of an end of, or, you know, an alright film, I would say. But let's get into the bad things. I put, you know, the first thing I put for bad was generic. Because if you've seen a lot of films, horror variety, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I kind of seen it all before. But at the same time, you know, it is alright. Never hits any super high watermark, high points. It never really, you know, there was a couple of decent jump scares, I guess. That's another thing. There's a lot of kind of jumpish scares. You know, it's PG-13, so they gotta work with what they got. Hardly any kills. I think the best kill is probably the very first kill, the opening of the film. Yeah, that was probably the most intense kill scene, and it kind of introduces you to the ghoul, so I thought that part was good. The rest of the kills and scares from there are kind of At the very end, like I said, it kind of perked up a little bit. And that's all I really got to say about Lights Out. I think I rambled on too much about it already for the quality of the film. It's a type of film, I think you want to rent it if you're a horror fan when it comes out. I don't know if you'd rush out to the theaters to see it. It's still not a bad way to spend a matinee, though, probably, if you want a couple, you know, if you want to watch a semi-decent horror film. So, I kind of like Lights Out. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. Like I said, barely recommending it. Some people are going to find it better. I know it's getting really high ratings and stuff, so, you know, good for it, I guess. That's what I would say. To me, it still came off as a little bit generic, but I didn't feel like I wasted my money when I left the theater, so there you go. Let me know if you've seen Lights Out down below, and tell me what you thought.